Hello and welcome to topic number 5, creating content that will rank. So in addition to topic number 4, which was doing keyword research, one of the more important topics of this course is going to be creating content that ranks for that particular keyword. In addition to picking the right keywords, creating content for those keywords or tuning your web pages for those particular keywords are usually, as a beginner, that's going to be the basis of your strategy in order to grow traffic to your website. Obviously, you don't have to do this if you're doing unintentional SEO. So for example, a lot of people would just start creating a bunch of content on their blog, and then they would get certain keywords are automatically picked up by Google without really doing the research, knowing, what type of things have a good volume, what type of things are competitive and aren't competitive. So they'll kind of do what I call kind of accidental SEO, which is totally fine if you're getting started and you just want to start adding content to your website through a CMS or whatever. But doing more meaningful and more targeted SEO usually involves, finding out what you want to rank for in the first place, and then making the changes to your website in order to target those particular keywords. And this is where content creation and tuning your existing pages comes into play. I'm going to use WordPress for this again in order to show how easy it is in WordPress to use some of the SEO tools, for example, to help you with this. Again, you don't need SEO tools. However, they help. You can also do this manually. Just keep track of what we're making, meaning without WordPress, meaning with JavaScript, for example, you can do this as well. Just keep track of what we're tuning here as we go so that you can apply the same settings and features to your non-WordPress website. So you can tune pages or posts. So if you have a non-WordPress website, you can tune your CMS pages, your CMS content, or your web pages for particular keywords. I'm going to show you how to do, for example, a new post. Let's say you found Calgary web design prices to be a keyword that maybe has decent volume, but it's not super competitive. So you want to target that, okay? So you go into your website and you say, I'm going to create a post for this. Okay, so this is going to be a blog post. I'm going to go add new, and I'm going to start writing content for this particular keyword. So I'm going to call this page Calgary web design prices. And I'm going to start, creating content for that particular keyword. So, I'm not going to go through the whole content creation process. Obviously, you're going to have to think about this on your own. If you're stuck for ideas and you don't know what to talk about, you can always go into some of these first page results, open them up, see my websites here as well. So I'll show you that after. Open them up and get some ideas. What type of content are they writing about? What are they talking about in these articles? It'll give you some ideas. Obviously, don't copy and paste. That's not what we do when it comes to SEO, because you get penalized for that. But you could get some general ideas from these pages. What type of things are they covering? Maybe that you want to talk about from your own experience, or how much it costs, for example, for you to create that particular to create a website for a client. So once you determine that, you're going to start writing, and here's where it becomes very useful to use an SEO plugin. If you didn't have an SEO plugin, you would kind of write it here, and then you would publish it and kind of hope for the best. What an SEO plugin will help you do, so this is Rank Math. So if I click this option here, this will open up the Rank Math settings. And this is where having a plugin really helps. So for example, the first thing you do is you put in a focus keyword, Calgary web design prices, okay? And as soon as you do that, it's going to give you a score. And so what you're trying to do with this particular content, this could be a page, this could be a blog post, whatever. You're basically trying to improve the score to get the green. You're not always going to get 100%, but you want to get to green, you want to get to, I think it's 80% or over, right? So as soon as you start creating this content, it's going to warn you down below, and it's going to give you recommendations of what you should be doing in order to increase the score and improve your SEO results. One thing I want to mention here, when you're creating content, having 100% here doesn't guarantee that you're going to show up on this page. Okay, so it gives you some best practices that you should follow when it comes to creating content. However, you're not going to, rank on Google automatically if you get 100% here. So that's really important to know. However, when you are creating content, you do want to hit as many as these indications here to improve your score, which will help you, get on that page. But again, depending on competitiveness, depending on how many people are targeting that particular keyword, it might be easier or harder to rank. These ones, this example I'm giving you is a fairly easy one to rank for, and you shouldn't have any issues ranking for something like this. For example, it's a low volume type of keyword. However, it's less competitive, and I figured that out as I was doing my keyword research. So I'm not going to, obviously, that would take way too long for me to write this out. So I actually have an example of this already created, and let me just look for it. I believe a lot of blog posts here. Let me just, so as you can see, I just created this recently, and I have it. It's on the first page. It's the third result. So I do want to improve this. So this is called Calgary Web Design Prices. Okay, so I'm gonna find this here on my site, in my staging site, and I'm going to edit it through just to show you what it looks like when it's finished. All right, so you can see, yeah, I hit 86 out of 100, which is great. So, I'm going to go through, this is a blog post. I'm going to go through, add a bunch of content, add my calls to action, have a, fairly good looking kind of blog post with pictures and media to make it a little bit more interactive, with some external links, with some internal links, and so forth, in order to, and I have a FAQ schema as well here on the bottom. So, having it structured this way, you can see that my keyword now, I'm hitting all of these things that are recommended as best practices in order to improve my score. So some of the things I could improve more, for example, it's short, it's considered short, 840 words. I'm assuming that, some of these other content pieces on Google are longer, so it's giving me an indication I should probably beef this up a bit to improve this more. Some of the other things are my URL is considered long. That might be because I'm actually in the staging, so this is actually too long. I don't think I would have the same error on my live site. My URL structure here is shorter, and things like that. I'm not going to go through all of them. All of them are fairly, self-explanatory. Yoast works the same way, but basically, once you finish this, you want to aim to get a green check mark here, meaning that you're doing well. Your content, is considered good from an SEO practice. Another cool thing you can do here is you can set the social share kind of meta description and all that stuff in here. So you can set your meta description, your title, your permalink, URL, your meta description. Meta description doesn't impact your SEO, but it increases your click-through rate if it's done correctly. Somebody might be more likely to click my link versus somebody else's if my meta description is on point. Word of caution, Google does rewrite these. So they'll rewrite this and they'll rewrite the page title. And you want to, so don't be alarmed if you see that. So that's just normal. Google will rewrite it based on the content in your content, or the text in your content that might be more relevant to what people are searching for. So it could give you it could give you an indication of maybe your meta should be a little bit different. But again, this meta doesn't impact your SEO. The title and permalinks certainly do, but the meta doesn't. And you can see the social share and what it would look like if you shared it to social media like Facebook or Twitter. This is what it would look like if you share this. Some of the other options that are in here are more WordPress related in terms of creating a excerpt and creating a category and hooking up, for example, a featured image, which is a must. Some of those things are just best practices when you're creating content and pages. But in a nutshell, what you want to do is, use the SEO plugins in order to inform you as to, how well you're doing. One of the things that you want to keep in mind or keep track of, just having, like I said, again, having this high score here is not enough. You need to also look at the Google search engine's result page. So when you're creating content, what you want to do is you want to do a search on Google as well, see what other pages are ranking, see what the common questions are. So these things you probably want to include either in your content, or you want to create an FAQ schema. Remember, I was talking about schemas in the previous modules. Schemas can help Google understand what your page is about a little bit better and answer some of those common questions. So I would try to hit, for example, in my article, I would try to hit some of these points here. I would also try to hit some of these related searches. For this one, there aren't any right now. However, for some, let's do Calgary web design instead, and I'll show you what I mean. So down here, related searches, you want to also hit some of these things in your content as well, to kind of give Google an indication that this is all related. And so this is what people are searching for. So these are all the related searches. So you want to include some of those points and some of these questions in your content as well. So that's another tip. Once you're done creating the content, you are going to also be able to check whether or not, there's another tool that I use as well that's free, that's really helpful to kind of give you other tips on how you can improve this. So if you go, the tool's called SEObility, and it's their free URL checker. I believe it's called an SEO checker. So you can search for on-page SEO checker, for example. And you can find, one of my favorites is this. You can see I've visited it, SEObility, SEO check. And this is also useful. You can, like, once you publish your it has to be published, obviously, your content. This can also be a page. If you go analyze website, this is going to give you a lot of useful information as well on how well your your website's going to rank. So you can see here I have a 81%. I can definitely improve this by hitting some of these things that it's recommended. So for example, try to reduce my CSS files, JavaScript files, like more kind of like compressing the page. It's kind of tough, for some of these things, like response time is really quick, it loads quickly, my site is pretty fast, but it'll still, don't take this as gospel, obviously, try to hit some of these points as well, but it gives you some really good recommendations if you do forget to include these, and it'll go by important, like in red to yellow to whatever. And there's a bunch of different sections. This is a really useful tool. It'll tell you, so for example, if you forgot to include a good title or meta description or whatever, or maybe it wasn't crawlable, the page, like these are some really important pieces here that, you could miss easily, and this is useful also even if you're not using WordPress, you can add these things manually, obviously, but, WordPress kind of automates a lot of these things too. That's why I like using it for SEO. Yeah, so basically, go through all of these recommendations. There's quite a few, and then, take a look at how you can improve this even further, right? So for example, you can see that I have some images that don't have an alt attribute, so I want to fix that, and things like that, right? So just kind of go through all of these and try to improve it as much as possible to improve your score. One of the cool things here also to kind of recognize some of your important keywords. So you want to check, for example, calculated design, that's my, that's my primary keyword that I'm trying to hit for this. So this tells me that, it's picking it up. It has an 87% result for that particular keyword. Gives me an indication that I'm on the right track or that I did it correctly, because that's the one I'm targeting. That's what I want to show up. So I'm going to include this link in the course slides as well, just so you can take a look at it and use it for your projects. But you can do this for any blog post or website or web page. So I showed you, so this is a blog post that I have that's currently ranking. I can improve it further to improve my standing, like I'm number 3 right now on Google. So I could probably improve it to increase that a little bit higher as well, to be number 1. However, it's good enough for now, and I just wanted to show it as an example of how you would create content and how you would hit some of these important aspects here, and how a SEO plugin will help you hit some of these important aspects so that you can get a good ranking on the search engine results page. So you would, to summarize again, you would do your keyword research, you would find all of these relevant topics that are relevant to your website and your audience, and you would write content or tune your pages for those particular keywords in order to improve the ranking of those and to increase the traffic to your site. A lot of SEOs, this is kind of their bread and butter. This is their strategy. They'll just keep creating content that's relevant, for their websites or for their client websites. This is, I'd say the majority of SEOs, this is probably going to be their one of their primary strategies to drive traffic to a website. So you could see how this is fairly resource intensive work. You could also, if you're a freelancer, agency owner, you can outsource this to somebody else and kind of collaborate with them in order to increase traffic to a website. But this would be probably one of the services you would do in order to do the keyword research for clients and to generate the content or tune their existing pages for better SEO. And like I said, you could do this for pages too. This will show up. I was showing you one of my blog posts. You can see your pages as well. And the keyword that you're trying to hit is here. And even if you go into the page, this page is actually created with Elementor. A rank math will still pick up, based on your keyword, your content in Elementor as well. So you have to, in this case, because this is a page created with Elementor, I would have to go into edit with Elementor and improve these points here in order to increase my score. Okay, so that's it for creating content. There's a lot more to it. Obviously, creating content could be, again, another course. If you're a web developer, you might not be interested in creating content. In fact, a lot of my blog posts, for example, on my website are created by somebody else. So I pay for content, so I do my own keyword research, or I have somebody now who does that for me as well. That works for me. But you could do your own keyword research, for example, because you'll know what your clients are searching for. And then you could outsource creating that content to somebody else, like getting somebody else to write the blog posts. That being said, honestly, the best blog posts that are ranking on my website are actually ones I've written. So it's kind of interesting, even though I hire professional writers, still my own content ranks the best because I know my audience the best, and I know what people that are looking for my services would be searching for. So there is something to that, and just keep that in mind. But yeah, very important concept when it comes to learning SEO and applying SEO techniques is content creation. Okay, so some of the key takeaways are creating the right content is really important, as we saw. So remember, in the first In the previous module, we talked about keyword research. You want to find those keywords that are relevant, may not be as competitive when you're starting out. When you have a well-established site and you're an authority, you can go after those more competitive ones. But in the beginning, you want to target those ones that are less competitive, or maybe longer tail kind of keywords that you can rank for, and you want to create that content on your website in order to bring in traffic to your website. Learn how to use the tools to help you create content tuned for SEO. I showed you the SEO plugin Rank Math that really helps you go through the content creation process and hit some of those marks in order to increase your SEO score, and SEO ability, which also gives you that same type of functionality, a kind of on-page score or on-page checker that you can use after you publish your page, that you can use either in addition to an SEO plugin or as a replacement. So if you weren't using WordPress and you're creating content using a JavaScript CMS or something like that, you could publish a blog post, you could run it against SEO ability, and then see what you need to improve for that particular piece of content. So it's very, very useful. And last but not least, yeah, audit. Even if you think you've hit all the marks and you don't need to check it, I still urge you to check it and audit it, because sometimes you miss things. I do it all the time. Either I turn it off for indexing or something, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I have to turn that off. Allow indexing all of a sudden, for a new site or something like that, or I'll miss meta description or whatever. There's a lot of things that you can overlook. And so, yeah, it's just good practice. Do an audit after you publish and see, how that content ranks, how it scores for that particular keyword. Yeah, and that's it. It's fairly simple. It just takes a lot of work, content creation. So it's not rocket science, definitely. You can definitely create good content on your own. This is when you have to practice, and you'll get better at as you're practicing and doing this for your own site and for your clients. All righty, thank you.